Hi, my dear students. I think you're all charged on this chapter because of the movement of electrons. So once again, I am welcoming you for the third session on the polarity of bonds. Today, we will discuss with example. Yesterday, we stopped where we were understanding that dipole moment depends not only on the difference in the electronegativity but also on the spatial arrangement of atoms around the central atom. That means it is the combination of the structure of a molecule and difference in the electronegativity, both combined factor will decide the dipole moment of a molecule. So this was the point of discussion in our previous class. Now today with the example we will discuss. Today our first example, H2O. Okay, right. It is a bent structure. Earlier, the structure of water was understood that it was a linear structure. Now, when the bond angle is seen in the special electronic devices known as the spectrometer, that time they came to the conclusion that the structure of water is not a straight, not a linear, it is a bent structure with 104.50 degrees angle, and its dipole moment is 6.17 into 10 to the power minus 30 coulombs meter. It is because of what? It is because the resultant of the dipole moments of the two OH bonds present in the water molecule. See, H2O bent structure. This is the 104.5 angle here. So one OH and the other OH here. Okay, O is more electronegative than the hydrogen, so electronic pull is this side. So here also pull is here. So from here one pull, from here one pull, electron density is more on the what? Oxygen. So what is the movement of electron? Resultant force is this side. That is shown here. So this side, okay, this side. So that's why because of this in the polarimeter they saw how much 6.17 into 10 to the power minus 30 coulombs meter. It is because of what? Combined effect of these two bonds towards O. I told you no. It is the spatial arrangement of the bonds around the central atom decides the dipole moment. Net dipole moment mu equal to 1.85 d by. Okay, this is converted. Now we will take one more example of beryllium fluoride, which is 0. Why 0? This is because the two equal bond dipoles point in opposite directions and cancel the effect of each other. See here, beryllium fluoride. So here electron want to pull this side, at the same time this side electron want to pull this side. So one is this side, one is this side. So due to the opposite pull, what is the net result? Resultant that on the beryllium it is nil, 0. That's why beryllium fluoride is not having any dipole moment. Poles are not created here. So this is minus, this is the plus. So this plus again this will take here. So pull, see it is the arrangement I told you, no? So due to the pull on the opposite side, resultant effect is on the beryllium is what? Nil, 0. That's why dipole moment of beryllium fluoride is 0. It is like a tug of war. If both teams are equal for hours together, no result, like that. In tetraatomic molecule, for example, in the BF3, here also dipole moment is 0. Why? Please see a combined effect. See the combined effect. This is called beryllium fluoride. This will pull this side, and this will pull this side. Resultant is this side. And for these two, pull is here and pull is here. Resultant is this side. And for these two bonds, pull is toward this fluorine and this fluorine. Resultant this side. So this resultant, and this resultant cancels each other. So totally, what is the combined effect? Combined effect is dipole moment is 0. Let us study a special case of ammonia and NF3. Both the molecules have a pyramidal shape with a lone pair of electrons on nitrogen atom. Both are compounds of nitrogen. Okay. Although fluorine is more electronegative than nitrogen, the resultant dipole moment of ammonia is greater than that of nitrogen trifluoride. Why is the question here? Both are nitrogen compounds. Okay. In both the cases, on the nitrogen lone pair of electron is there. And one more point is what? In the NF3, most electronegative fluorine is there. So we expect NF3 should have been the more dipole moment. But in reality, when they are measured, it is ammonia having the more dipole moment than the NF3. Why? Why special case? Why it is interesting here? Why it is showing more dipole moment in the ammonia, though fluorine is there in the compound? This is decided by what? Spatial arrangement or the structure. Please see the structure of NS3 and the NF3. Yeah, these are the structure of what? NS3 and the NF3. Okay. Nitrogen, one lone pair. This is called lone pair of electron. So what is similarity? Similarity is central metal atom is nitrogen. Second similarity is what? Both are having lone pair of electron. But difference is this area. This is the difference area. Okay. Here this nitrogen atom having 3 hydrogen atom, and this nitrogen is having 3 fluorine atoms. Now you see the pull. Here pull is towards fluorine. Fluorine. 3 NF bonds are there. So one pull is this side, and this is a free electron. I told free electron will create a problem. So this one to pull this side, and these three want to pull this side. Resultant is what? So whatever pull is this side is cancelled by this side. Effect is slightly nullified or reduced. But here what happens here? Pull is towards nitrogen, and this pull is supported by this pull. Okay, this is the net resultant here with the blue mark. So whatever pull is there from the 3 hydrogen atoms towards the nitrogen is supported by the lone pair of electron and the nitrogen. But here in this case, the pull towards fluorine is not supported by the lone pair of electrons. This is the reason for the reduction in the dipole moment. Data proves here. You please see. NF3 0.8, whereas ammonia 4. Very much more than the NF3. It is because here pull this side cancels to some extent. Here no cancellation, support. So it is the structure decides the dipole moment. Just as all the covalent bonds have some partial ionic character, in the same way the ionic bonds also have partial covalent character. The partial covalent character of ionic bonds was discovered by Fasan in terms of the following rules known as the Fasan's rule. That means, truly speaking, no bond is purely covalent and no bond is purely ionic. Ionic bond starts developing the covalent character, and the covalent bond starts developing the ionic character. And this is the work of Fasan. So in covalent bond, how much ionic character develops, and in the ionic bond, how much covalent character develops, that is stored by the rules given by the Fasan, known as the Fasan's rule. We'll discuss one by one now. The smaller the size of the cation and the larger the size of the anion, the greater the covalent character of the ionic bond. Okay, smaller the size of the cation. I am taking example of what? Chlorides of the first group: lithium chloride, sodium chloride, potassium chloride. Okay, if you move from lithium to sodium, sodium to potassium, size is increasing. With which size? Cation size increasing, but chloride is same. Lithium chloride, sodium chloride, potassium chloride. Lithium small, sodium bigger, potassium still bigger, but chlorine, all the thing is the same. So keeping the size of the chlorine same, now I am comparing. What it says? Smaller the size of the cation, larger the size of the anion. So in the 3 chlorides, in which case the size of the cation is small? In the lithium. So lithium is where smaller the size of the cation, larger the size of the anion. So their covalent character is more in the ionic bond. That means all are ionic, but in the ionic bond of the lithium chloride, it is more covalent. That is the meaning. The greater the charge on the cation, the greater the covalent character of the ionic bond. For this, I can take example of what? Sodium chloride, magnesium chloride, and the aluminum chloride. All are once again chlorides, but here difference is what? Difference in the charge. Sodium charge is +1, magnesium charge is +2, aluminum charge is +3. So when we move from sodium chloride to magnesium chloride and magnesium chloride to the aluminum chloride, charge is increasing. So when the charge is more, it can polarize more the anion. When it is polarizing the more anion, means it is instead of a transfer of electron, it wants to share electron. So due to the more polarization of the cation, due to the more charge on the anion, ionic bond is getting the more covalent character. So among the lithium, sodium chloride, magnesium chloride, and the aluminum chloride, it is the aluminum chloride is more covalent than the remaining two chlorides. For cations of the same size and charge, the one with electronic configuration N-1 DN-NS0, typical of transition metals, is more polarizing than the one with a noble gas configuration NS2NP6, typical of alkali and alkaline earth metal cations. This means in the case of D block, okay, where when you move from left to right in the D block, due to the shape of the D orbitals, size is not increasing that much, it is almost same size. So due to the same size and the charge also, okay, it will polarize more on the approaching anion, thus creating the covalent character. Okay, so if any compound having D block, it also develops the covalent character. The cation polarizes the anion, pulling the electronic charge towards itself and thereby increasing the electronic charge between the two. Same reason I told. So this is precisely what happens in covalent bond, that is buildup of electron charge density between the nuclei. The polarizing power of the cation, the polarizability of the anion, and the extent of distortion of anion are the factors which determines the percent of covalent character of the ionic bond. So in the ionic bond, how much percentage of covalent character is there? That depends on three factors. Factor number one, it is the polarizing power of the cation and polarizability of the anion by the cation and the extent of distortion or disturbance due to the polarization. These three factors will decide how much covalent character develops in the ionic bond. This is all known as the Poisson's rule. Now these are data available. Okay, you can go through all this data and you can conclude also why this is data more or less, so that you will come to know dipole moment and the structure and the electron, all those you will understand. Okay, so with this we will wind up today's class and we will wind up on the polarity of bonds. In the next class we will discuss a special theory known as what? The VSEPR theory. Thank you, my dear students.